Hey, Falcons and NFL fans, welcome to another episode of NFL Jocks and Pigskins on the Atlanta Sports Unlimited channel with Tom Pollen. I'm Dave Holcomb. We have another exciting show for you today. The NFL schedule came out this week, and a lot of our show will be spent talking about that, maybe hit upon a little bit of news from rookie mini camps and discuss how much stock to put into that news. I think is also worth discussing as well. But we should have another full show over the next hour, Tom.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. NFL schedules are always fun. They mean nothing right now. I mean, because you don't know what you can only go by what teams did by last season. But it's still a fun discussion. It's still a way to get us through this. We're making it through this desert that's the NFL offseason, and we're finally getting to a point where we're coming up on things we can discuss and have some fun with.
Right. Yeah. And the NFL, that's their logic as well. It's like, what can we fill the calendar year with to keep our fans entertained and focused on the NFL?
Right. Exactly. It's a tough one. And I want to ask fans, we got the NFL schedule out. We know who the Falcons are going to play first, week one. Right. What games are you looking forward to? And I know you're out there. We got followers. We got people who watch us every week. I want to hear from you. What games are you looking forward to on the schedule this year? Not just Falcons, anybody. I was looking at NFL.com, and they have some scheduling oddities. Everybody has scheduling oddities for this year. But what games do you want to see right now?
It's odd that there's going to be 17 games. I mean, that alone is going to be
strange. That's a strange one too. Yes. Yeah, I know. We'll see how well that works out. I worry about that because these players take so much punishment. I worry about them having an extra game a year, but we'll see how it works out. It's just one more week of hits they got to take. It's rough. And potential injuries. And I know you get that every week, but this is an extra week of it.
Right. Yeah. And I think as fans, I'm gonna like it. One fewer preseason game, and I'll like the extra game in January. But it is going to be weird. It's going to be weird. The Super Bowl is like Valentine's Day.
Right. I know. Well, the one good thing about it, yes, one less preseason game. Because NFL teams charge full price for tickets for preseason games.
Right.
You might as well get a real NFL game to go along with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we're covering the team. We have to cover the preseason games. I'd rather cover a real game.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm with you on that.
But those are the pros, and there are some cons, mostly for the players, not getting reimbursed or paid anymore for the additional, work that they have to put in for the extra week. Really, for the regular season, they're still going to be paid the same. That's the downside for the players. But yeah, I want to hear from our listeners, our weekly listeners as well, what games they have on there that they circled on their calendar, Atlanta Falcons wise, or anybody else wise. One thing I love about the NFL schedule release, and I didn't do that this year, didn't do it last year either, but normally I try to see some out-of-town games. I guess I didn't do that even the year before when I was covering the Falcons. But back when I was just a fan, not going to games as a media person, I loved seeing, where can I go this year to see a game, and maybe a baseball game or a basketball game in the same city at the same time.
Right.
That's always what's fun about the NFL schedule release to me. So I don't know if people are doing that necessarily. We're coming out of COVID now as a country. So maybe some people are saying, oh, I'm going to go to a game this weekend or this date. I want to go see the Falcons play at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I want to see this opponent. If that is the case for you, we want to hear that as well.
Exactly. I think people are they're trying to open up more. That's it. Yeah. Something, I knew that one was going to come up. Falcons versus Patriots. I believe that's week 11. I figured that one was going to come up quick. So, and that is
I think it might be I think it's week 12.
Week 12,
taking into account their bye. It's the 11th game they play.
Okay.
I think. Wait a minute.
No.
No, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
I was right.
You are correct.
I nailed it.
You
Week
nailed
11. Yep. Super Bowl rematch. Time to kick some, kick the New England Patriots butt.
This will be the second time they've played since that Super Bowl, and the rematch did not go well for Atlanta either.
Well, we got a little bit better rematch prospects this time, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
But the Falcons. It's funny, they're opening up against the Eagles week 1.
Right.
And
how many times has the Eagles and Falcons opened up against each other? It seems like it's a lot. A lot. You're looking at me like I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's happened.
That's
possible. I can think of 3 or 4 instances in the last 6 years.
Yeah, it's possible that they have. It's funny because I know a lot of Atlanta fans are saying, this is a good week. This is a good team to open up the season with. And
Eagle fans are saying the same thing.
I was reading some Eagles sites this morning, and they were saying the same thing. Yeah. Oh, the Falcons are a pretty good draw for the first week of the season.
Yeah. I mean, that's normally how it goes. Yeah, as a subpar team, you're looking for the team you can beat, but the other team is saying the same thing about you. Yeah.
Hey, we can beat you too. And by the way, Zozo's not on camera right now, but earlier in the week when the schedule was released, my cat Zozo said that Birds is stupid and that she could beat both teams with one paw tied behind her back. So, that's her opinion.
I mean, that's probably true, but we don't want to. You're sending away our audience, Tom. We got Falcons fans listening.
Yeah, but she meant Eagles too. She's not impressed by any birds.
Okay. All right.
Zozo says she can take any bird. Don't mess with her.
I'll send all the Ravens her way.
Yeah. Hey, she'll take them.
Yeah. Okay.
2 paws tied behind her back. She'll take them. So I just wanted to put that out there. Zozo is not impressed by the week 1 game.
All right. Are there any games on the Atlanta schedule she is impressed by?
Oh boy, I'm telling you.
I would think as a cat, she likes and this is actually the 17th game that we were just talking about. The extra opponent that the Falcons draw this season is the Jaguars. And as a cat, maybe she
big time Jaguars. Yeah. Big time Jaguars fan. She loves the Jaguars. Any cat teams. She also loves the Bears. I mean, she's a big Bears. Zozo loves Bears. Which games do you consider to be easy trap games for the Falcons? Easy / trap games for the Falcons. Dave, what do you think?
Ty, are you talking about games that are trap games for the Falcons, or when they're a trap team for the opponent? I think I'm assuming it's probably the former that he's asking.
I would say right now the Dallas Cowboys, because the following week you got to go up against the Patriots. So you might, and I know Dak Prescott is getting back with the Cowboys, but the Cowboys still, it's for the Falcons. Okay.
Thank you for clarifying.
I would say the Cowboys, because they weren't impressive last year. Mm-hmm. I don't know how they're going to be going into this game, but you can't tell me the Falcons aren't going to be looking forward a little bit to the Patriots. Especially Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, people who are part of that Super Bowl game, right, and that really want to lay one on the Patriots at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Well, looking a little bit further down the schedule to late November, I think Jacksonville, we brought them up already too, that's the 17th game, 17th opponent, and that's a nice draw for Atlanta this year, drawing a quote unquote easier opponent. As you said, we don't really know how this is going to work out, but the worst team record wise in the league last year, the Falcons will visit them and perhaps get an extra win out of that. But the following 2 weeks, they have two division opponents. So do they look ahead to Tampa Bay?
Defending Super Bowl champions, right? So you got them coming up next week. Definite trap game is week 12 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mm-hmm. So, look at that. Because and the Falcons and Tampa Bay is a rivalry anyway. So,
right. That's what I'm saying. The two division opponents coming up after an out-of-conference road game, that signals trap game.
Right. Exactly. So at least two of them on the schedule right now that I can see. Just, taking a quick glance at the schedule that I think are potential trap games for the Falcons.
Well, I have something that I think is going to be a very interesting piece of information that you'll find interesting, Tom.
Okay.
And maybe you already know this, but there are two NFL teams that don't have back-to-back home games.
Yes. I heard about that. Yeah. I forget the teams right now. I did read about that earlier in the week.
Okay. Well, I'm counting home games as in your stadium. So the Falcons do have two home games in a row.
Right.
In October, they have a home game against the Washington football team. And then the following week, they play the Jets at home. That game against the Jets is in London. The other team that doesn't have a home game, two home games back-to-back in their own stadium is the Chicago Bears.
Yep. It's interesting, but you don't know what you're going to get. I think the Falcons got it rougher because you got to go to London.
Well,
play in a stadium that sounds like it should be in a Harry Potter book. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's you don't even get Wembley Stadium. You got to go over to London and play. But it is interesting that the Bears don't have the back-to-back home games, but they do have Justin Fields at quarterback. I just want to let you know that. I want to make sure you know that.
No, I'm on your side. I'm trying to defend you that, the Bears got a short end of the stick with the schedule.
Yeah, it really is strange. You don't see that often. Normally, you get it's a rough one. I can't explain it. I don't know why the schedule sets up this way this season. Well, unless you count the 17th week is kind of throwing things off.
I was going to say, I think it does because with the 17th game, the Bears have 9 road games. Every NFC team has 9 road games and 8 home games. So it's harder to stack 2 home games in a row. I guess Chicago's schedule is just every other week. They're alternating home and away.
That's the way it is. Yeah. Every other week.
And Atlanta isn't like that because they only have 7 home games and 10 neutral site or road games. So they have consecutive road games. But you could also look at it, if you want to look at it positively, the Falcons don't have a back-to-back set at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But if they did, then it would be, they'd have a long stretch of 3-4 weeks where they weren't at home.
Yeah.
So maybe it's better that if the home games are spread out. It means more traveling, but it does mean that there's no lull in the season where you have 3 road games in a row.
That's true. That's one way of looking at it. And right now, you can look at the schedule a number of different ways. That's a good way of looking at it, though. They don't have that extended road trip that they have to go on.
Yeah, and they only have 1 trip to California, which I think is important because they're already making a trip to London. So you don't want to see them go to Seattle or Seattle and San Francisco.
Right.
So they go to San Francisco, Santa Clara, and that's their only trip to the West Coast. I think their next longest trip is going to be Dallas. I guess maybe New York is longer. I'm not sure if the flight to New York is longer than the flight to Dallas from Atlanta. But there's no other extended flight over multiple time zones other than the London and the game against the 49ers. Yeah,
no. Bad Mike. Okay. NFL find a way to screw with us. Yeah, there you go. The Falcons have got to take it on the chin a little bit. That I don't know why there's they keep insisting on sending teams to London. It's just, but that's for another discussion. I mean,
yeah,
but
we hit upon that, and I ripped the NFL for giving the Falcons a London home game in a season where they only have 8 home games and 9 road games.
Right.
Why can't they have an AFC team host the London game? Why can't the Jets host the London game that Atlanta is playing in?
Why not? Exactly. Why can't the Jets host it?
Yeah. So Larry Orange says, do they have the bye after the London trip? Yes, they do.
They do. Yes, they do. They have the bye. Then they come back against the Miami Dolphins playing in Miami. So not a bad matchup. So, they do get home, and then they don't have to travel too far in week 7 after having the week 6 bye. It's an early bye, so it's not necessarily advantageous for the Falcons. Again, Mad Mike, Falcons are getting screwed on the fact they have to go to London and host a home game, and then they have an early bye, so they don't even get like a mid-season bye. Oh, love Mad Mike. Oh,
yeah, it is. I guess I'm looking at it more positively, though, because we already knew that. We already knew that the Falcons were screwed with this London thing.
Right.
And that it was probably going to be an October game. Most of the London games happen early in the season, at least in the first half of the season. So, and you want that bye after the London game. So the bye was going to be earlier in the season. How is it that you have a poor year and they give you yet another challenge? It's true. But what I was just about to say is, though, the opponents that the Falcons play line up pretty nicely. There's a lot of teams that have losing records. And like there's even the teams that were great last year, for instance, the Saints. Can we expect the Saints to be as dominant as they were last year?
Exactly.
I don't think so.
What are we going to see as far as quarterbacks out of the Saints? Right. Because it's obvious it's either Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston that they're going to hit. I mean, it's obvious now it's going to be between those two in training camp. And how is the team going to how are they going to manage over a 17-game season with those two at quarterback?
Yeah. It yet to be determined for sure. And they lost other pieces other than just Drew Brees, too.
Right,
they were
exactly.
A horrible salary cap situation. So they're not.
They weren't a worse salary cap situation than the Falcons.
They were.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah, they were. So as you said, I mean, it's hard to know right now. This is all going to change. Our opinions on the schedule is all going to change. But if you're looking at the schedule right now and you're identifying what games are winnable for the Falcons, they have a lot of winnable games. I mean, the Eagles are winnable. I
like it.
The Giants are a winnable team. They play the NFC East. All those games are winnable.
NFC least. Yep.
Right.
All games are winnable.
And as I said, they drew the Jaguars from the AFC. That's a winnable game.
Yes.
The Jets is a winnable game. The Patriots is a winnable game. Carolina, both of those games are winnable. Can we say if they
we don't know who's going to be quarterback at Carolina yet. So
right. And we just talked about the Saints. Say they split with the Saints and they win most of the games we just mentioned. We're looking at least a 7-8 win season. And that's a very good improvement from Don't let the Buffalo folks I didn't bring up Buffalo as a winnable game, though.
Yeah, but Buffalo has Mitch Trubisky as their backup quarterback. All right. Listen to that, Buffalo fans. You got Mitch Trubisky backing up Josh Allen. You better pray for the health of Josh Allen. You really should. You want to win that division again. Hit the knees at night, every night through the football season, praying for the health of Josh Allen. Because you're going to need it.
Bringing up Bears quarterbacks any way you can today.
I'm telling you, Justin Fields, going back to minicamp, one of his wide receivers ran a wrong route yesterday. And Justin Fields actually went over to the rookie and said, told him, instructed him on what route he should have ran and how he should have ran the play. Justin Fields, he's taking control right now. He is a field general, and he has got that offensive playbook. He's getting his mind around it. Yeah, he's already instructing other players in his mini camp. Yeah, it's just incredible what the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl next year.
Okay. Well, Chris, I was talking to Chris before the show, Chris, our producer behind the scenes, that he said he was asking for a Super Bowl prediction. We just heard it from you.
One of the funny things that I've been seeing this week on Twitter is that everybody keeps saying, a lot of, Bears fans, of course, saying that the Bears are actually going to have the best quarterback in the NFC North next year because Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone from Green Bay. Oh, man, Mike, I'm telling you, Justin Fields, he's the guy. He's going to rewrite the franchise record books in passing for the Bears. Well, Sid Luckman is going to be long gone from the Bears record books by the time Justin Fields is finished.
And when did Sid Luckman play? The 40s?
40s, yes. Uh-huh.
All right. Well, it's about time you get somebody to rewrite the record book.
Yes. Book. Yeah, that's an old record book. Yes. You got that right.
We got another question about Julio Jones and a possible trade.
Regular watcher Anthony Wiggins, do you think Julio Jones would get traded? I don't think he should. But I've been reading in some places so far that, the Falcons still, to open up more cap space might have to. And I don't think they drafted
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts to weaken their passing game by trading Julio Jones. So I don't think he will. I know he's a great wide receiver. He's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Here's Zozo. If anybody wants to talk about Zozo, downgrading the Eagles and Falcons, Zozo says birds are stupid. So, but I don't think he should be traded, and I don't see a team giving up what the Falcons would want for a trade for Julio Jones. I just don't see it. I don't see a contender, and he's going to have to go to a contender. There's the only ones who are going to be willing to pay the price. I don't see anybody willing to pay the price right now. That might change in a month. I mean, keep up with it, and I'll keep reading about it and keep looking at it myself because I'm fascinated by the question myself. But I don't think he should be.
And I would agree with you. Yeah, I think we talked about this last week with another fan asking about the trade rumors. And my opinion hasn't changed since last week. I agree with everything that you said. So,
Dave, we going to argue about anything this week?
Well, we can argue about Justin Fields if you want to keep going on and on about him. We're overdue for Mike.
Hey, Mike, I say the same thing. I'm a Bears fan. I'm saying the same thing. Well overdue for Bears to rewrite passing records and receiving records because they got receivers from the 40s, 50s, and 60s who are still holding records in the Bears books. It just shouldn't. It just shouldn't happen. For an NFL team, they have never had a quarterback pass for over 4,000 yards in the season.
That's amazing.
It's just amazing.
Which explains why Chicago gets obsessed when they draft a quarterback very early.
Right.
They've never had a great quarterback. They really haven't. I mean, I know they have, but so long ago that no one that is in the fan base remembers it.
Jim McMahon would have been a great quarterback if he had stayed healthy. He really would have been one of the best. He had an accurate arm for the long ball. He had and was a guy who knew what was going on. He only had to watch tape once, and he knew what the defense was going to be throwing at him. He knew what he was seeing. A very smart quarterback. He would have been one of the greats, but he couldn't stay healthy. So it's just nothing you could say.
Right.
But even then, that's the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, we still, but something, there's a different feel here in Chicago for Justin Fields than there has been in a long time for a quarterback that's been drafted in the first round or come in via trade. It's not the same feeling that, oh, well, let's wait and see. It's another quarterback. It's another try. We'll see if he busts out after a season or two. There wasn't even this much excitement when Mitch Trubisky was drafted because Trubisky didn't have all the starts behind him that Fields has had. And Trubisky really, he was a prototype quarterback as far as physical traits.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of questions about Trubisky, once he got on the playing field. Basically, there was a high ceiling for Mitch Trubisky. He just never reached that ceiling. He barely got off the ground. He didn't learn anything as he went forward. So,
well, I know you have
a different feel for Justin Fields to be here.
Okay. I know you have a much better feel for the Chicago fan base than me, but I do remember a lot of Bears fans excited about him on Twitter in 2017.
Yeah. So they were, but they had, they were expecting a lot out of him, and he did well. But as I've said many, many times, defensive coordinators are not stupid. Okay, these are not stupid people. Once they get some tape on you, they find out what you like to do when you're running read option. They find out where you like to look at certain points on certain length passes. Where do you go when you're in trouble? Once they develop some film on him, he stopped developing. He didn't adjust to what defensive coordinators started doing against him. And that was the big problem. That's kind of why he never went any farther as a quarterback. He never learned. And that was always the problem. You always expected him to be able to learn, to start picking up defenses, start understanding what you're seeing in front of you. He had no idea what was happening in front of him from snap to snap. No idea.
You're all right with everything you're saying, but what I'm saying is before he came into the league, there was a lot of excitement about him, just like there's a lot of excitement with Justin Fields. So I'm not sure. I'm not ready to say it's different. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not ready to say it's different. I want to see Fields in a game first.
Well, so do I.
Okay.
One of the things
you're saying it's already different. You're already saying it's different.
One of the things I tweeted about, here's the argument. Got that right. One of the things I tweeted about earlier in the week was everybody's talking about Fields already being the week one quarterback and being the starter. I put the tweet out that says, why don't we let the kid go through a couple mini camps and a training camp first, and then we'll see where he's at.
Yeah.
I think he's going to accomplish more than Mitch Trubisky. Not that that's saying much.
Right.
Trubisky. Yeah. Mike, as I say, I agree with you because I was actually in the corner. I wanted Deshaun Watson in that draft.
I did not think Trubisky was a good prospect either, but I'm telling you, I remember I have a lot of Chicago followers because of our old show where we talked Pittsburgh, Chicago sports. So I got a lot of Chicago fans on my timeline, and they were all excited for Trubisky. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have been. They were excited that they took a quarterback at number 3, and they were hoping he was the answer. Just like this right now, just like with Justin Fields. They hope that Justin Fields is the answer, but ultimately we have to wait and see.
But Justin Fields has more background on the field behind him than Trubisky ever did.
Oh, that's very true. Yes.
Fields has produced on the college field. Trubisky really did not have college accomplishments. He played
one season.
Trubisky was physically, Fields will be a better prospect by far. Can't believe I said that. Mike, But that's the thing. He is a better prospect. Trubisky was a better, let's say, prototype quarterback. If you said, build me a quarterback, Trubisky might be one of the guys that would come out of the assembly line that you would say is a quarterback. If you said, build me a quarterback from scratch, physical characteristics.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I think Fields might have more football savvy than Trubisky's ever developed.
I would agree with that too. I think you're right. Okay.
So we'll see how it goes.
Back to my
point. Chris, we had our argument. There you go.
Back to my original point. The Bears and Falcons are the two teams that will not have back-to-back home games in 2021, back-to-back games in their home stadium in 2021. But continuing down the Falcons schedule, I'm circling the winnable games. I'm not going to circle Buffalo. Not that they couldn't beat Buffalo, but I wouldn't hope for that. As a Falcons fan, I'm not saying this is a game that we have a good chance to win. But other games on the schedule after Jacksonville, can they pull off a win against Tampa Bay at home? Can they sweep Carolina? That game in San Francisco I mentioned earlier. They have a home game against Detroit. That's a winnable game.
Yes.
So there's a lot of winnable games on this slate that, they got shortchanged with the earlier bye and the trip to London and only 7 home games. But based on the win percentage and what we're expecting from these teams this season, which can be completely wrong, but what we are expecting, the Falcons have a lot of games that they could win. Yes,
they do. Potentially, it lines up as a good schedule for the Falcons. Yeah. It really does. It makes a lot of winnable games. See if Arthur Smith makes a difference. I do expect Arthur Smith to make a difference. And he's got some of the pieces in place that I think work well with the offense that he had in Tennessee. And I say don't limit yourself to what you saw out of Arthur Smith in Tennessee. I think there's more to his game. He took advantage of what he had available to him in Tennessee. With Jonnu Smith, Ferguson, guys at tight end, and Henry as his running back is, just like a bowling ball, on legs. It's just incredible trying to bring him down. But don't expect Arthur Smith to be a ball control, 2 tight end, running back type coach. He can do more than that. And I think, giving the opportunities, given the wide receivers that he did not have in Tennessee, you should see more out of him coming up.
Yeah, but Tennessee does have A.J. Brown. He's a legit number 1 receiver now.
The Falcons have a more rounded wide receiver group than Tennessee has.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, that's true.
Give me that. Come on, Dave.
Well, I'm surprised that you're labeling the Titans and Arthur Smith last season as a ball control offense because they were top 5 in points and yards. They weren't. They had a ground game, which I guess in today's NFL is more ball control, but they scored points, and when they won games, they scored points. They had to. They didn't have a great defense.
I agree, but they also, and I'm not saying that they couldn't pass. I'm saying that they did concentrate. They were a tight end centric passing game. So given the better wide receivers that the Falcons can put on the field, expect some better offense, expect a little more variety out of what you see out of Smith.
Okay.
There's more to this guy than 2 tight ends and the Falcons, and he's going to love having Matt Ryan as quarterback. He resurrected the career of Ryan Tannehill. And he's going to like having Matt Ryan as his quarterback.
See, we're arguing a little bit now. We're debating.
Yeah, we're debating.
All
Dave,
right.
you ignorant. You're too young for that reference. I got a schedule. I got a trivia question for you, and this is for all the fans too.
Okay.
To kind of get the show back on track here a little bit. But I got this out of NFL.com. They were looking at some of the quirks in the schedule.
Okay.
And the Jaguars face the Jets in Week 16. So you could potentially, if both Lawrence and Wilson are starting, you could have the number 1 and number 2 overall picks in the same game.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That has only happened 3 other times in the NFL.
Okay.
3 other times.
Where they're quarterbacks.
Where the number 1 and number 2 overall draft pick quarterbacks face in the same game, in a game in the regular season, rookies. So I want you to name, you should get the 1 fairly quickly.
Yeah, I know one.
The second one you should get if you give it a little thought. The third one you're not going to get. So
third one I'm not going to get.
No, you're not going to get it. No way. I challenge our fans to get the third one. Go ahead and get the first one.
Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. And
you got it.
Week 1 of 2015.
Yep, you got that one right.
That's the most recent one?
That's the most recent one.
Okay, that was the easy one.
Second one happened in 1998. There's a hint.
Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf?
Oh, you got it. Nailed it. Okay. There you go, right. Dave.
That was a good hint. That was a good hint.
That's a good one. The first time it ever happened occurred in 1993.
1993?
Yes.
I'm guessing these are quarterbacks that didn't make it.
One of them didn't make it. The other one had a pretty decent career.
Okay. 1993.
Come on, fans. Come on, we got to have some kind of one of our fans has got to know that. Does anybody else read NFL.com? Come on, it's Zozo. Come on, we know your feeling about birds. Go ahead.
1993. I can't even think. Trying to think of quarterbacks that started their careers in the mid 90s, or even bad teams from 1992 that would have the first picks. But I'm coming up with a blank. Yeah.
One of them was a quarterback for the Patriots. The other was a quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, Drew Bledsoe?
Okay, you got one of them.
All right. Seattle quarterback. I mean, Seattle at that time. They were in the AFC.
They were in the AFC. That's right. Exactly. He was a Golden Domer.
Golden Domer?
Yeah.
Oh, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rick Meyer.
Oh, he's a college football analyst now, isn't he?
I think so.
Or am I thinking of?
That could be Rick Meyer because he sucked as a quarterback, but he came out of college with big expectations. He just never reached any of them.
I would not have got. Was he the first pick and Bledsoe was second?
Yeah. Yikes. Well, Dave has been blowing me away with trivia questions for the last few weeks. I figured I had to get him.
Yeah, it was about time you asked me.
So, but some of these quirks are really strange. It says the Steelers have the toughest strength of schedule, which is going to be interesting to see how they react to that. With Najee Harris now strengthening their run game.
Right, yeah. Can I go off a little bit on strength of schedule for a second?
Sure.
As a parameter for measuring how difficult your schedule is going to be. I mean, we've already talked about.
Because the thing is, I'm going to agree with you. So I go ahead. You do it.
We already talked about how everything's going to change. Everything changes from one year to the next, and You can't look at the Saints as necessarily as difficult as an opponent for the Falcons in 2020 as they're in 2021 as they were last season.
Right.
And if you look at, Pittsburgh's schedule, they play Kansas City, they play Green Bay. So they play some of the best teams in the league from last year and had 14-2, 13-3 records. That totally inflates the overall strength of schedule based on opponents' win percentage. And if Aaron Rodgers isn't back in Green Bay, the Packers are not a 13-3 type team.
Oh no, nowhere near it.
That becomes I think the Steelers would have been competitive in that game with Aaron Rodgers. So without Aaron Rodgers, it's a winnable game. So
very much so.
You also have I'm trying to think of an example. If your Steelers are in a good division too, so they're playing the Ravens twice, they play the Browns twice. Those winning records of those teams that they play twice elevates their their strength of schedule, as opposed to a team that is playing the Jaguars twice. If we're looking at the Indianapolis Colts strength of schedule, they have two opponents that combined went 2-30. It's the same opponent, but in the strength of schedule, parameter with opponent win percentage, that those two opponents, those two games, those teams are combined 2-30 last year. So, but that's only going to result in a maximum of 2 wins, and losing to Kansas City, even though that completely elevates the Steelers or anybody who's playing Kansas City, it's going to elevate their strength of schedule, opponent's win percentage. It's only going to, if they don't beat Kansas City, it's only 1 loss.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. You're right. And that's a perfect way of building it. Strength of schedule means nothing because you have so many teams have made so many moves this offseason that you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't even know what you're going to get once you get through training camp. You're really not going to start seeing it until the season gets going. How these teams have changed and who really is the strong teams on your schedule this year.
When I'm looking at, kind of who has a tough schedule, who doesn't, I like to look at the sequence of the games. We're talking about that at the beginning of the show with where's the trap games for the Falcons? Where's the difficult stretches? How many home games in a row do they play? How many road games in a row they play? That to me is much more important. It's not an exact science. You don't have a math formula to judge it. That's why as a media person, that's not what we look at when we write an article. But that is much more important. And if you want to say the Steelers have a tough schedule, look at who they play in their last 7 games. They have the Ravens at home. Then they go on the road in a short week, by the way, to play Minnesota on Thursday night. Then they go back home to play Tennessee, on the road against Kansas City, home against Cleveland, and then on the road against Baltimore to end the season. If you want to say, wow, the Steelers have a tough schedule, that's what you reference. Those 6-7 weeks where you have a short week and you're playing the really, I don't want to say that those aren't winnable games for the Steelers, but the only opponent on that list I just said that didn't make the playoffs was Minnesota. And that's a road game, and that's after 3 days of playing your biggest rival, the Ravens. Right. So that's a really tough stretch, and that's what I look at when I identify, which teams have tough stretches, which teams have difficult schedules. The Steelers have a tough schedule because of that end of the season, and the Steelers are a team that they're trying to get back on track. Their Decembers have been bad in recent years, and that schedule is not going to help this December.
No, it's not. Right, exactly. And that's a great way of looking at it. I do agree with you. I can't argue with you. Unfortunately, I can't argue with you on that one.
Well, you asked at the top of the show, and we'd love to hear more of what games you're excited for, Falcons or NFL-wise, and that's kind of where I was going next. I was going to ask you, Tom, what national games outside of Atlanta are you looking at? Are you circling as games you really want to see?
It definitely is not the kickoff game. Could the NFL have gone – normally the NFL does a great job on their kickoff game to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
But you got the Patriots are playing the Cowboys. I'm seriously, you couldn't do better than Dallas as your kickoff game. If you're looking forward to that game, get a hold of me because we really need to talk.
I look forward to every game. Every game.
Look forward to every game.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. Those are two very unlikable teams.
Yeah, it's just, I don't see it. The Bears got to play Tampa Bay, so I'm looking forward to that one off the Bears schedule. You know, looking at it, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to look forward to games more as the season gets underway than right now.
I'm trying to find a master list of the NFL schedule.
If you go to usatoday.com, you'll find one.
Okay.
So, but you got Detroit is going to play the Los Angeles Rams. So you got the two quarterbacks who were traded for each other.
Okay, that's
are going to play against each other. So that should be an interesting one to watch. And it takes place week 7. So, both quarterbacks are going to have plenty of time to get accustomed to their teams by then. So it's going to be interesting to see how Matt Stafford and Jared Goff face off against each other. Matt Stafford, for all the good he did in Detroit, his record against teams that he played that were 500 or better when he played them is terrible. It's atrocious. He's got he doesn't even have 5 victories against 500 teams. And see a broken Cam Newton. I don't want to see a broken Cam Newton. If he's healthy, though, I want to see a healthy Cam Newton. Because I think he's always been an exciting player. But
Tom, I think the opening game is Dallas Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Dallas Tampa Bay. Isn't that what I said? Or did I say New England?
I thought you said New England.
Oh.
You were thinking Tom Brady.
I'm thinking of Tom Brady. Yeah, Dallas Tampa Bay. You don't want to see Dallas against Tampa Bay. You really don't. One of the worst teams in one of the worst divisions in football last year. Yeah, it's kind of like when a team moves, you keep talking about them like they're still in their old city. Well, I keep thinking of Tom Brady like he's still in his old city.
Right, yeah.
However, Tampa Bay does play New England this season.
Yeah, week 4.
So
in New England, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady, if he stays healthy and continues his pace that he's been on, his pace last season, he'll be about ready to break Drew Brees' passing record in week 4. He's going to do it against his former team.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what Bill Belichick puts in place for him.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah,
I really am.
That's going to be fun.
So one of the other quirks that I read in NFL.com, 15 Super Bowl rematches. You got a rematch of Super Bowl 1 with Packers against the Chiefs, and you got a rematch of Super Bowl 51 with the Falcons against the Patriots. So 15 Super Bowl rematches. Just it doesn't mean anything in 2021 other than the fact that it's just interesting. I don't know, interesting to me. But I'm a football I'm a historian. I'm a football historian too.
Right.
So I go way back with a lot of football stuff.
Yeah, I like those historic storylines as well. The Steelers will be a part of 2 of those. They play the Packers and then they play the Seahawks.
Yeah. Yes, it should be fun. Those kind of games are always fun to see. Rematches of Super Bowls, and rematches. Players like Sam Darnold's going to be able to play against the Jets this year. We're going to see what Sam Darnold can do in Carolina because Carolina thinks that they can salvage this guy. So it's going to be interesting. And that again is going to be something that has a direct I don't know what word I'm trying to use. It's going to happen to you one of these days. You're going to lose a word, and you're going to look like a fool, and you're going to go, oh, what was I saying? But it's going to have a direct bearing on the Falcons' schedule. Can Sam Darnold actually play quarterback? For a different team other than the Jets.
Right. That's true. One thing I hate to bring back up the London game, the Falcons London game, but that game's at 9:30 in the morning. I'm sure Mad Mike has an opinion on that.
I kind of like those.
I do too, but I
know it's not good for the team.
I was going to say, I don't think I would like it if it was my team.
I know. I fully agree with you. But I actually like those 9:30 games. I do too. But to wake up casually and have some breakfast and watch the game, not to have my game face on, like my team's playing. I don't think that would be as fun. So, but Falcons. That's the 9:30 game, October 10th, and then we got Halloween games as well. Week 8. I always like when Halloween falls on a Sunday. That's a fun time. And the Falcons are hosting that day Carolina Panthers. Ooh, where? In Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
In Atlanta.
Oh, it's going to be a haunted house for Sam Darnold.
Hope so.
Yeah.
The Steelers are in Cleveland, and the reason why I bring that up with Halloween is on third downs, the Cleveland Browns play the theme from Halloween.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fun. I like that kind of. I'm not a morning person at all. I like it during football season, Mike. No, I'm not a morning person either, but during football season, I kind of like the occasional 9:30 games. It's kind of fun to take a look at. So,
also on NFL Network. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm from like 2006, but are there Falcons fans out there that don't have NFL Network that are going to be mad they can't watch the game? Or are we to a point where we all have NFL Network?
I don't know. I'm about ready to get rid of my satellite dish package because it's too expensive for what I'm getting. The only reason I have it is because it has NFL Sunday Ticket. And I get a chance to watch through all of the games, but I also get NFL Game Pass on my computer. So I can watch the games later if I want to.
Right.
So I'm beginning to wonder how much NFL Sunday Ticket is worth it to me to keep my satellite package.
Well, you can get Sunday Ticket without having a TV package.
Can you?
I
didn't think that was possible. I thought it was still
in certain places you can. I haven't looked.
Okay.
I have to use my parents' address when I sign up in Delaware. It's offered in Philadelphia area.
Okay.
So I haven't looked to see. This started like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and when it started, it was like 3 cities. It was like Los Angeles, Philly, and New York.
All right, I'll have to take a look because
but maybe it's expanded to Chicago, maybe it's expanded to Atlanta. I'm not sure, but check. And
because I'm paying way too much for satellite television that I don't watch, other than Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah, it's still expensive if you're comparing, NFL Sunday Ticket to all the other.
And you have so many streaming services right now; it's impossible to almost,
That's why I dropped cable. I'm all streaming now. No cable.
What are you streaming?
Well, I got all the sports packages pretty much. I don't have NBA. I'm thinking about getting NBA next season. But right now I've got the NHL TV, which I think is going away. It's going to ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I think so. Right.
But so I got
ESPN is paying big money for that one.
Don't get me started on that. MLB TV, the NFL Sunday Ticket with Game Pass, separate, not through my cable provider, just Sunday Ticket with Game Pass.
That's great.
Yeah, it's like $400, $350. So it's still a lot, but I mean, it's better than paying $100 every month for cable.
Yeah.
And then we have HBO Max, we have Netflix, and then we have the Disney package, which is Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, which I really don't use, but I'm going to use ESPN Plus a lot next fall
if it goes into hockey. Yeah, right.
NHL. So
HBO Max has TCM, so
they do.
I could do HBO Max because they have Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah.
And later on today, Casablanca, and followed by The Manchurian Candidate.
Oh,
not the Denzel Washington one, the original one.
Yeah.
Okay, The Manchurian Candidate. Really good double feature today.
Before I got rid of cable, I was watching a lot of TCM, and I've gone through HBO Max the last couple of weeks, and a lot of the movies I was watching on TCM are on HBO Max.
Yeah,
so a lot of movies I'd never heard of, and was like, oh, this one sentence summary sounds good. I'm going to give it a try. This old movie from the 40s, 50s, that's on HBO Max. So that's definitely something you got to sign up for.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the things I'm going to do if once I get rid of the satellite, because the satellite just is not worth it. How many fans go through satellite just to get the DirecTV, get the NFL package?
I bet there's a lot.
Because DirecTV was really selling the fact that they give you the NFL package, that they have everything NFL every season.
It's still the package I'm talking about is still through AT&T. You still get it from DirecTV, but you don't have to have satellite to get it.
Okay. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. Because I like watching as many games as I can once we get into the NFL season. And I like keeping an eye on games. It's fun to be able to keep an eye on games. And if it's really close and really getting tight, I can switch over right to a game and watch the ending and enjoy kind of what's happening, and I don't miss it. I can still see it. I still get a chance to see everything. So, but
and there's different packages with the streaming packages I'm talking about, and it's I get the most expensive one because it comes with Red Zone, and I've really started enjoying Red Zone the last few years. It's something I never really tried before. I want to say 2015 was the first year. I was always someone that was like, no, I want to watch the whole game. I want to know exactly what's going on, and I still like that. I go back and watch a lot of games on Game Pass.
Yeah.
But
the Game Pass is great for that.
Right. Yeah. But if the Falcons aren't playing, if the Steelers aren't playing, I'm pretty much on Red Zone now.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting to hear. And again, I think we're probably losing a lot of watchers right now.
Well, I would think they're interested in the Sunday Ticket package, or do you have NFL Network? There's going to be games on Amazon too. I don't know how that will work out. Where how do you tune into a game that's on Amazon? I don't even know.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Right now, I don't know. I don't, unless you tune into it on your computer and you have a smart TV and you could, send it that way. But my TV is stupid, so I can't do that. I have a dumb TV. So
we just got our first smart TV, so I feel you with the dumb TV, but once you make the conversion, it's great.
Yeah.
No, we're still here. Good.
Okay,
Glad to hear it, Mike.
Glad to hear it. But that's always been the thing with me, is because I barely watch anything else. I really don't watch much anymore. And it seems like a lot of the innovative original shows are being done on these streaming services that are worth catching up with and would be fun to see. So
that's kind of how I view the streaming services, to put a bow on this. I mean, you want to pay $100 for cable and you have to sit down and watch it when they decide, or do you want to not pay that, pick out what you like, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Netflix, Discovery Plus, whatever you want, sports packages, and then it's on demand to watch whenever you want. That's, to me, is a much better option.
See, now I don't know if I could do Disney, because I'm very mad at Disney, because they took the Star Trek franchise and they took the Star Wars franchise and they kind of flushed them both down the toilet. And very, very upset with Disney right now for doing that to two of my favorite science fiction franchises.
Well, I guess we don't have an audience that's streaming a bunch of TV because we're not getting any comments. But I would think that this next comment from me is not going to be popular among people that stream stuff. I think Disney Plus is overrated. I don't think it's that great. If you love Disney, great. You got pretty much any Disney movie, any Disney cartoon, any Disney show ever that you want. And it's very nostalgic for someone my age because Disney Channel came out around the 90s and all those Disney Channel original movies that we saw as kids are available and we can go back and watch. But I look at streaming as this is the way I watch movies. If I like a movie, I buy it on DVD. So I have a lot of DVDs. And then if I stream a movie, I want it to be a new movie. So I don't stream movies that I want to watch again because if I want to watch it again, I have it on DVD.
Exactly.
And that's really what Disney Plus is. Disney Plus is come back and rewatch all of the Disney movies you love. That's not how I use streaming.
Yeah, I agree. And, just to be able to stream either some of my favorite television shows or to be able to stream some of these new shows that I don't get.
Yes.
Disney for Boy Meets World and
Boy
Star
Meets
Wars.
World. I love it. I love Boy Meets World. Great show.
But I
Star
do want
Wars
HBO
I have
Max.
on DVD, so I don't, I did stream Star Wars when I was visiting my parents for Thanksgiving because I didn't have the DVD with me. That was nice, but I usually have my DVDs with me if I want to watch a movie.
I actually have DVDs of Star Wars before Lucas made all the changes. So you want to see the actual original Star Wars? I still got that.
I have my dad has them on VHS. I don't have them on DVD. So
yeah, VHS for all you younger fans is how we used to watch movies way back in the 80s and 90s before all this new technology, that you young people take for granted. We didn't have all these streaming services back in my day. Back when I was a youngin', you had to get up to change the channel on the television.
Yeah. My kids aren't going to know what a channel is because everything's on demand.
There you go.
There's no channels.
Yeah.
There's
all
no
right.
channels. But
What is UHF, Dave?
UHF?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, see, you're too young. You're a young guy. I'm telling you. All this is coming for you, essentially. You're going to say, boy, I remember, and your kids are going to say, God, Dad, you're old. Get ready for it.
I'll be prepared. I bring up things that I didn't remember because I wasn't alive when they happened, but I know about them, and people accuse me of being older than I am.
By the way, did you ever get to watch A Hard Day's Night?
I did watch it, yeah.
Okay,
it's on HBO Max.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you ever got a chance to watch it. So I love that movie. Early Beatles.
I want to bring us back to the
band for all you younger fans. Beatles is the band Paul McCartney was in before Wings.
Right.
And if for all of you who don't know who Wings was, well, I wash my hands of it.
Yeah, you've got a better chance of them knowing the Beatles than the Wings.
So.
But all right, let's bring it back to football to wrap up today's show. I'm going to end it on a positive note with the Falcons. Some other good thing that we didn't bring up yet with their schedule. No Thanksgiving game. They've played on Thanksgiving 2 of the last 3 years.
Wow.
So they don't play.
The Bears get Thanksgiving. They get the Lions.
I think Atlanta, from what I've heard from Atlanta fans, last couple of years, they don't particularly love having to tune into their team on that holiday. They're just not used to it. And I can understand that when the Steelers.
So do I. I fully agree with them.
Yeah. And there's a few Christmas games, but Atlanta doesn't play on Christmas.
Right.
Hanukkah, I don't know. I'm not sure when Hanukkah is for our Jewish fans. But no New Year's Eve, no New Year's Day games for anybody. So
college dominates those days. I mean, the NFL is not going to schedule against their minor league system. College dominates on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
There's been New Year's Eve games before for the NFL.
Yeah, the NFL. There used to be a handshake agreement between the NFL and NCAA about Thursday games and Saturday games.
Yeah.
So, now that agreement went out the window. But the NFL still they don't like to tick off their minor league system too much.
Right.
They like to keep the NCAA.
Okay, so they wouldn't play on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
But there have been games on New Year's Eve. There's no 425 game for the Falcons on New Year's Eve. There's no Thanksgiving night game. There's no Christmas Eve or Christmas Day game. So if we can find a positive other than some winnable games, as we discussed, for your life, you don't have to plan your holidays in 2021 around the Falcons schedule.
Right. It's always a positive.
All right, that does it for today's show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
Have a great week, everyone.